we're scratching and clawing and trying to get as many people as we possibly can to do jobs that ordinarily jailers would do. But until we get our staffing levels up, we're trying to make do with what we have.
Over the last month, the Shelby County Sheriff's Office has been heavily criticized for what people are terming as a lack of transparency and safety concerns inside the jail. One of those concerns is keeping inmates safe, not just in their cells, but also while they wait for court hearings, because last month an inmate was stabbed to death in a court holding cell.
Fox 13's government reporter Kayla Solomon sat down with Sheriff Bonner today to find out what more can be done to keep inmates safe.
It's been almost 2 weeks since the death of Dion Bird inside of 201 Poplar. Attorneys called his death gross negligence by the sheriff's office, but Sheriff Floyd Bonner says there were internal failures that led to Bird's death.
We've gone through our policy and procedures, and this case is still being under investigation.
Bird was stabbed by another inmate in a holding area outside of a courtroom. In the 2 weeks since, Sheriff Floyd Bonner says they've made changes to improve inmate safety.
Some of the things that we've changed, we've added a TSA type scanner, metal detector. So as the detainees are coming from the jail to the courtroom, where they then get on an elevator to go up to the courtrooms, each inmate is being having to walk through that metal detector.
Extra pat downs, wands, metal detectors, but he said also taking an extra step in the holding process.
So we're handcuffing them to the eye bolts inside the holding tank to keep them from walking around and mingling around. Many times, as hard as we try to separate what we call enemies out on the streets, because what happens on the streets spills in on jail. So now we're handcuffing them to the bench.
In a written statement last week, the sheriff's office acknowledged staffing shortages and says they will not lower standards to fill positions. Fox 13 spoke to former Sheriff Mark Luttrell, who was credited with turning the jail around in the midst of a Department of Justice investigation.
Staffing was not the issue as much as our employees understanding the job and what needed to be done. So we've trained our supervisor, we trained all of our staff on a totally new modality of supervision. And over a period of roughly 3 to 5 years, we spent about $25 million correcting a multitude of inefficiencies.
Bonner says training is not the problem.
Well, I disagree with training. I mean, we have one of the best training academies in the state. And again, we wouldn't be accredited if we weren't training the right way. So I disagree with what he says.
Bonner emphasized that there's a class of 25 correction deputies who will be graduating from the academy this upcoming February. At 201 Poplar, Kayla Solomon, Fox 13 News.
The new Shelby County Juvenile Detention Center officially opened today. Officials cut the ribbon this morning outside the Youth Justice and Education Center on Old Gitwell Road in Oak Haven. The Shelby County Sheriff's Office says the center's main focus is on education and development, not just incarceration. The center will feature a school with an assigned guidance counselor, much like your typical school would have.
Here in Shelby County, we want to make sure that every young person, whether they make a bad decision one time, have an opportunity to change their direction in life for the betterment of their lives.
Now, this center plans to feature tutoring as well for sports, recreational activities, arts and crafts, and more.